mention Labour Party in the rank. Or you want to talk about NMPC that is only in the north. We barely have opposition parties, of course.
Okay,
So,
Amarachi, what steps could actually be taken in order to reduce these opportunistic defections in Nigerian political system?
Well, steps that have to be taken that I feel political parties should meet serious-minded and trustworthy persons into their rank. If they can vet the character of people, of course, we all know that people change their character over time. But if they can vet the kind of persons they admit into their rank who curtail this level of defection, if they can get people of like minds who have the same ideology, who have decided to stand for a common goal, then it will be difficult for people to defect. I wouldn't want to bore you with a long talk about pre-independence party where you see people come together, unite themselves for a common cause to get the independence of the nation. Of course, most of them defected after independence because of their own interests too. So from time immemorial in this country, you've seen that people have been defected. No matter how hard you try, no matter what the political parties do, people will still defect.
Perhaps if some of the causes of political party defections are handled internally by the party, that could also limit the level, the volume of defections. Don't you think, Amarachi?
Well, I think if the parties handle their issues internally, like some issues that might lead to, if I'm contesting for a particular position and someone else is competing and I see an unfair advantage, that might lead me to defect on the ground. But if the party comes to intervene, then I might need a certain form of promise to make me stay. That's what you see over time. People have their own interests that the party cannot force them to go back on. You've had instances where, well, in Rivers State, take for example, during the last governorship election, there are people that already set their eyes on the governorships too, before it was handed over to the present governor, whereby party primaries were cancelled and all of that. And those persons, majority of the persons are still in PDP till today. Just like you rightly said, there might have been a meeting, a backdoor meeting to ensure that these persons stay. That's before this present issue that we found so difficult to resolve, which heralded the sole administrator, the reign of the sole administrator in Rivers State for the next 6 months, which we are still waiting for it to end. So political parties in their own might can resolve these issues between warring factions. Just like the reason why you see this issue in PDP, you remember when former Governor Wike lost his bid to get the presidential ticket, and he had aspirations of becoming the vice president, which was not given to him, was rather given to Okowa. You know, that issue alone can cause a major crisis in the political party. But I was thinking that he would defect from the party at that point, but he still remained. So sometimes the reason why people defect is that they cannot stand their ground to continue in that party because they feel they don't have the might to get that position that they want. But if people truly believe in themselves and what they aspire to get in a certain political party, they will not just swing from one window to another looking for where will be most comfortable for them.
For the public to know a little difference between mass transportation and mass transit.
Oh.
Yes, we tend to use them interchangeably, but there is a subtle difference between mass transit and mass transportation, and it's good we know that little line that differentiates both. In the first instance, mass transit has to do with that means of conveying people within the metropolitan city, within a a particular geographical, especially the city.
The metropolis?
Yes, the metropolis. That is where you now talk about mass transit. But when you talk about mass transportation, it is all-encompassing. It is wider in scope. That is to say that mass transit is even subsumed in mass transportation. But mass transit is narrower in definition. You can now, when you talk about mass transit, you are talking about those vehicles that convey large population, the large number of people within the city. But when you talk about mass transportation, you include even the one that may be going to Abuja from ENUGU, the one that may even be going to Ghana from ENUGU. We are talking about mass that conveys population to those areas. But mass transit is a bit limited in nature.
Okay, with this explanation, what
we are now talking about mass transit
is about to do is actually mass
transit.
Oh, okay. I was
ENUGU
thinking
State mass transit.
Okay.
Yes, that is exactly
with the airline, the rail line, the terminals, and all of those. It is mass transit.
No. That one is mass transportation. Yes.
Okay. I think that's what we want to talk about.
Exactly. But that I only wanted to make, because people tend to
interchange
exactly. Just for the public, what we are discussing is mass transportation. Yes.
Okay.
But sometimes we use them interchangeably.
Okay, so how will the newly introduced hybrid buses in ENUGU operate when it starts operating?
Okay, now in the first instance, speaking as somebody who understands transport, I'm not speaking from the authorities. I'm not in the government to say this is exactly how it will operate. So, having said that, I think my best approach would be to probably predict how I think it will operate, and probably state some of the problems they may encounter if certain things are not done. That may be the best approach I can, the best way to approach that issue. Because
speaking with out of residual knowledge.
Exactly. That is just the issue from experience. Having worked in Abuja and as a consultant in transport in FCT, and having the experience internationally, so I know the best practice, how it's being practiced abroad. So I can speak from that angle, from residual knowledge, as you said, but not as a government. I'm not
the spokesperson for the government.
Yes.
Okay. We'll get to the point where we'll look at the challenges.
Yes.
Because we have had other mass transportation, mass transit, whatever, launched in Enugu State. But looking on, I don't know if with rising concerns about costs of transportation, if you're looking at this provision as something that will ameliorate that.
Okay, now the main reason for introduction of mass transit and the involvement of states in this mass transit is to ameliorate, is to subsidize costs, there are many other reasons why, but one of the greatest reasons is to subsidize cost for the people. That is one of the greatest reasons why states must be involved in mass transit. However, it is important to state now that mass transit, especially buses, mass transit buses are not all that profit-oriented anywhere.
Okay, so the government is not to benefit from
not that they don't, but especially at the first instance, the government must plan it in such a way that they will have at the back of their mind that they want to help the public, to render service first to the public. Let me give you an instance. There was a time I went for a training on transport, mass transit in Malaysia. Malaysia is also almost like Nigeria, though they have gone far ahead of us. Yes.
But at the time, probably
yes, we are even
Nigeria.
ahead of them before. So when I went there for a training, and after the rail training, now we are taken to their bus, mass transit, buses, and we are now asking them how they cope to maintain those buses. Do you know the surprising response they gave to us? That they are sustaining the mass transit buses through the rail, through the revenue they are generating from the rail, that they gain more through the rail. From there, they subsidize the prices and sustain the operation of that bus mass transit. So the introduction of that's coming to your question. The introduction first is to reduce cost for the masses. You use it. Those people who are at the lower cadre can actually afford to patronize that sector, and at the same time you maintain the buses in such a way that even the high class will also use it. In a developed world, there are some enablers. There are certain things, facilities.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying glued with us on the screen. Up until this time, we have come to the end of today's program, and I'm pretty sure that you had an amazing time and going through over the interviews that we had during the week. Literally not all, but some of them, and giving you highlights of most of the things that we talked about, and also the developing stories and stories that have made the high headlines in the newspapers. Thank you so much for staying with us. Don't forget to follow us on all the social media platforms. We are always live on YouTube 247, and we are on SLTV at channel 264. My name is Quincy Roland. Thank God it's Friday. Have a good weekend ahead, and we'll see you Monday next week.
in our universities now, I'm not just talking about Nigerian universities, all over the world. Students come out, with no jobs, I served as a provost of a university in the US for 8 years, and part of my major responsibility was curriculum renewal, faculty looking at curriculum, and you see still operating curriculum that has been outdated, and so when students graduate, there are no jobs. And so we put a number of things in place, which I can share, and which, that we can, part of the thing we said we will do was that, even if you're an English major, history, psychology, nursing major, before you graduate, you must have acquired a career-driven certificate program, a skills acquisition program. So you might be a nursing student, and by the time you graduate, you get a certificate in content creating, get a certificate in digital analysis, get something that, if you are not able to find jobs in your choosing field, you might start doing something, it will help you to assist. So you are employable immediately upon graduation. That is one thing that we tried to do. And then we went in and looked at, I told them then that I read English major, I teach African literature majorly, but I know when students come into the US, they want to get employment. The competition, if you are a PhD in English from Harvard, from Medgar College, from City University of New York, the competition is so great, all right? However, if you get a degree in what is topical in the health sciences, then you are sure at the end of your educational career, you are employed. Very good paying job. And so we said, let us revamp our allied health program. We had no allied health program in the college then, but we had to start instituting programs in allied health, in collaboration. So these are things you need to do to recreate, to revamp, so that the curriculum will be at the service of the students at the end. But the question is, how is it being done in Nigerian universities? Are we even talking about it? That is the question, and that is really part of my goal to, just want to, give back to what I learned as provost. It should play a major role. When you look at it, the college, the world is technologically advanced now. Everything has to do with technology. And like I said, I'm English major, read English. I have the cell phone, And when you look at these days now, when we went to school, at every semester, we read about 10, 15 novels in a course. Now, if you ask students to read 6, 7, 5, even 5 novels, you are wasting your time, even though we have to do it. So how do you create a curriculum that will make use of those novels, but digitize them? So students will learn. Number one, students will read the novels, even if they're not reading the novels. Students will apply the novels to a modern day world. Students will use the novels to learn content creating. Students will use the novels to do whatever they're doing on the internet. Students will use the novels for blogging, all right? And so how do you infuse that in the curriculum to make sure it happens? So what we are doing is kind of merging, for example, African literature with a curriculum in sciences, in technology. So applying that, when students are not reading the entire novel, then how do you get them to read? You have to meet them where they are, and then use that to be employable at the end of their career.
we have male dominance in politics, which is number one. Men have dominated the political arena in Nigeria. We have educated women. We have women that have the zeal and the passion for politics, but the arena has been dominated by men. Men that, I'm sorry to say, they don't want to see women reach their desired position. So we have so many problems apart from the male domination. We have the religious problem, especially where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the northern part of the country. We have the cultural biases, we have the religious biases, which work hand in hand to bring women down during the political, in politics, or generally in decision making in the country. So these three factors are the hindrance, what brought the hindrance in women participation or women inclusion in Nigeria. The hindrances, we've already overcome some of them, because when a woman goes out to campaign, if you look at the campaign arena, you'll find out that we have a lot of women, especially from the grassroots. You find out that women constitute majority of the voters and mobilizers for their parties, for their candidates. And even if you go to polling units, you find out that 75% of the people lining up to cast their vote are women and children and youths. So women are mobilizers, and at the same time, women usually they come out en mass to support what they want. So that first hindrances with overcoming.
Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to another episode and edition of E-Vibes, the entertainment show on Signature TV. I'm your baby girl, Queenette Mokunta. We have so many dramatic stories today that would keep you on your toes, and you don't want to miss on that. And of course, I have a very interesting guest, one of a kind guest, whom I will be reviewing to you after my story. So I'm sure you don't want to miss a second on this particular show. So grab your popcorn, grab your juice, grab your wine, whatever you're using to enjoy this show with me, because we'll be doing it together. All right, let's delve into the stories of the day. Media personality Yeni Kuti has revealed that her late father, Fela Anikulapo Kuti, the legendary pioneer of Afrobeats, was admitted into the prestigious Trinity College of Music in London in 1958 out of sympathy rather than academic merit. According to Yeni, Fela struggled academically more than his siblings due to his poor grades. Their parents initially insisted he remain in Nigeria. However, his older siblings, who were already studying in London, reportedly misled their parents by claiming they had secured admission for Fela to study medicine abroad. Upon arriving in London, Fela's lack of academic qualifications became apparent. Yeni explained that when he presented himself at Trinity College of Music, he was nearly turned away. However, the admission officer, moved by the fact that Fela had traveled all the way from Nigeria with the hope of studying, chose to offer him a place out of pity. Now, despite the unconventional start, Fela would go on to revolutionize African music and become an icon of cultural and political resistance. So you see, Fela is a legend. And of course, he's the person that started Afrobeat, whether we like it or yes, despite the whole drugs and, you know, people trying to take stands on that and, you know, whatever you would call it. So she coming now to say this man that we all are praising actually started from somewhere. He didn't start today. And he didn't get into that college of music by maybe he's so smart, or he's not even good in, let's say he's not good in books. He's not that book person. And I'm sure you'll say most musicians are not, all right? But it's more like he's that special child out of other sibling, and his parents already gave up on him, if you understand what I'm saying. So you know that point whereby your parents gave up on you, and your elder sibling are like, no, don't give up on him. We have already seen a school here in London for him. He should just arrange his papers and come over. And now coming over to that place, the young man thought, oh, he would start a new life in School of Music and all that. Not knowing that, you know, when it comes to working with the whites and the Westerners, it's not that simple, especially when we are Nigerians, we are black, we are Africans. It's not that easy. So I would call this grace, because not every person has that ability or favor to be granted admission through merit or pity, because she called it pity. She said he was admitted into that college out of pity, not because maybe they checked his credentials and it's nothing to write home about, and they just had no other choice. Maybe because he had talent, they would just have to, you know, feature him in the school. And see what that turned out. He's a legend. Despite the fact that he's 6 feet down the earth, he's a legend. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. You know. So we would give that as an applause, and it's also some sort of motivation to every other person not to give up in life and keep pushing. All right. Let's move forward. Former federal lawmaker Senator Dino Melaye has responded sharply to recent remarks made by veteran musicians and TV personality Charles Chukwuemeka Oputa, popularly known as Charlie Boy. Charlie Boy had taken aim at Melaye, criticizing the former senator's frequent public display of wealth on social media. The comments came after Melaye shared a video in which he referred to himself as a limited edition, asserting his uniqueness. Now, reacting to the video, Charlie Boy suggested that despite Melaye's wealth, he might be battling depression. He added that not all mental illness are noticeable, implying that the senator's flamboyant lifestyle could be masking deeper issues. In a video posted on his Facebook page on Thursday, Melaye dismissed the criticism, accusing Charlie Boy of seeking attention and attempting to use his name for relevance. He went further to state that Charlie Boy's destiny has been caged, and metaphorically claimed it was inside a freezer. Now, Melaye, who represented Kogi State during the 8th National Assembly, is known for his love of luxury cars and his bold, often theatrical online presence. The exchange has since stirred debates online, with many weighing in on the clash between the two outspoken public figures. Before I drop my 2 cents, let's take a look at this.
Most distinguished. You don't hear say Charlie Boy they talk about you.
Which Charlie Boy? Hey! Who be Charlie Boy? Is it a name of a noun, animal, place, or thing? Which kind of Charlie Boy? That's what I want you gidi. Ẹ pé èèyàn ní wèrè, ẹ tún sọ pé ó ranjú, ta ni ò bá ranjú. Bí ò bá ṣe wèrè, kí wèrè má ṣe bọ̀ mí lọ́wọ́. Charlie Boy, kí wèrè má ṣe bọ̀ mí lọ́wọ́. Charlie boy wey be say I hear say him roof dey leak, he no fit fix am, he no get money to fix am. Me and him who be like were. Yeah, Charlie boy, ODD machine. Now he put for front of his house like a ray, like statue machine. Front of house. That one no be show off. Now me want to shine because they don't put in blessing inside freezer. He want use me popular. He want use me take come chop market. I bet leave me alone no. And when you're new way, I just dey travel. I carry yellow bag, yellow shoe, yellow top. That's all though. With the develop, I'm very jealous. Till the posting, I shall better tomorrow. Check out because of mama war. Not okay. They like auto boxers. Sure.
Now the question now is what's the fuse about, right? The question is what's the fuse about? Someone said some people like looking for trouble because I'm sure if maybe Charlie Boy did not make that statement, he wouldn't have made this video. We already know who Senator Dino Milai is, you know, but we do not expect such statements from him, all right? And when you go through comment section, it is nothing to write home about. It's you'll just end up laughing because this is actually some sort of display of drama and he's using it to catch crews. He's just vibing with it. And you know the whole question when they said, did you hear say Charlie Boy, they use your name talk online, and he's more like, who is Charlie Boy? Is it not Charlie Boy that his roof is leaking and he doesn't have money to fix it and all, you know? Somebody said, you know who this person is, and why are you looking for trouble? It's actually very funny to me. I mean, I was laughing, I was laughing so much when I watched the video and all. But the main issue is the statement he made, and comments are not really happy with the way he reacted to it because what do you mean by his destiny has been caged and all that? That's the main issue, and people are like, we didn't expect this from you. You wouldn't have reacted like this, you know, but that's on him. Actually, we don't really have the right to tell you what not to say and what to say, what not to do and what to do. But yeah, that's the drama that's been happening since yesterday and today. Let's move forward. Veteran Nigerian music legend Bright Chimezie has expressed his appreciation to Afrobeat star Davido and singer Omale for sampling one of his classic songs in their recent hit, With Me. In a video shared on his Instagram page, Chimezie was seen joyfully dancing to the track before thanking both artists for incorporating elements of his iconic 1980s hit Because of English into their new release. The track, produced by renowned hitmaker Tempo, blends contemporary sounds with the distinctive fusion of highlife and funks, a genre popularized in Nigeria during the 1970s and 80s by legends like Bright Chimezie. This fusion has resonated strongly with fans, making With You a growing favorite on streaming platforms on social media. The single reflects a broader trend in Nigerian music, where modern artists increasingly draw inspiration from the country's rich musical heritage, reviving and reimagining sounds from past generations. Take a look.
Let me know something. You can see I'm vibing to the song already. It's a beautiful piece of work, wonderful. I appreciate the fact that you said you picked the inspiration of this song from Because of English, a song I recorded many years ago. I appreciate you for that. And Kubana Chief Priest, I'm gonna make on Olija. I'm not my corner. We don't drink it. I do appreciate everything. Ya kuro gawa. Awai kakapion. Awai suku wadre kondi.
All right, that was a very beautiful scene, and you could see the happiness and joy in his face. I'm so proud of Nigerian music artists. You know, you tend to see them blending contemporary music. It could even be a sound from gospel music. I think that was what's his name? Fino did in one of his songs. What's that song again? I'll remember. But I'm sure you know the song I'm talking about. The intro is usually music from the 80s, the 90s, and then they add it a little blend. You know, something very spicy to make the sound look a little bit new. Even Burna Boy does the same thing. Who else has done that? I think Rema, you know, it's either they're using the person's voice or they're using the person's sound. So there's this blend, and I love it. And I'm sure you love it too, you know. So the fact that after using their sound or their voice or a pitch from their music, you give them appreciation, you know. Like they said, give honor to whom honor is due. You can't steal somebody's thing and you don't give them credit for it. So the fact that he gave credit to him and he himself noticed it, because there are people that will notice it and they will create a fuse about it, especially when you don't give credit to them. You know, so he gave credit to it, and you can see Bright Chimezie vibing to it. That's it. I didn't review the video where Davido and Bright Chimezie was on a video call, having all fun, vibed up, and Davido was more like he's still in Lagos, and maybe they would do something together, a music together, or maybe just chill, have a conversation and all that. We would agree that Davido is that guy that, you know, is filled with life, full of vibes, fun, Afrobeats is in him and all that. So this is something we want from other music artists. Bring the blend, bring the fusion. High life is not something we are going to let go like that, whether we like it or yes. So let's move into the foreign scene. The second semi-final of the Eurovision Song Contest was held in Switzerland on Thursday night, with Israel's contestant Yuval Raphael among those going through to Saturday's grand finale. Raphael's entry, New Day Will Rise, is a pop song with verse in English, French, and Hebrew. Earlier, Raphael told Reuters she had been frightened by pro-Palestinian protests and security concerns surrounding Israel's participation in the competition. The favorites to win include Sweden, Australia, and the Netherlands. The final is due on May 17th at Basel's St. Jacob Shell Arena. And that's on Saturday tomorrow. Oh, I'm not gonna review that to you. But anyways, let's take a look at this.
Call me the milkshake man. I wanna shake and make the whole world dance. They drink my milk all across the land. I can tell you wanna taste the milkshake man. Tell you wanna taste the
It's even if you say goodbye, a new day will rise. The last country to compete in the grand final on Saturday is Greece!
That was so beautiful. I don't know who you're voting for. I think I'll vote for Israel. Yeah. I think I'll vote for Israel to win. I won't be reviewing that to you tomorrow, but I will do that on Monday. Trust me. I will. Alright, so finally on the story segment, at the start of the United Nations International Day of Light on Friday, the town of Britain in the Italian Alps was lit up by the series of SOS torches, a symbolic global call to attention concerning the future relationship between robots and humans. The torches were ignited by Italian artist Stefano Cago as part of an artistic performance titled We Own the Futures. The performance held in front of Britain's cathedral saw Cago and a humanoid robot participating in the SOS torch show, exploring the evolving dynamics between human and intelligent machines. Cargo's work attempts to build a circle of trust between human and machine, involving light, fire, and reflection. The performance ended with Cargo and the robots gazing up at the sun as NASA footage was projected onto the cathedral, visualizing the shared futures. The torch lights up the historic town center and were visible up to 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles from the cathedral square. According to the organizers, the performance created exclusively for the International Day of Light will not be repeated. The city of Britain annually invites light artists to commemorate the UNESCO-led International Day of Lights, currently in its 16th edition. Take a look at that.
The International Day of Light this year has two keywords. It's science and innovation. And I think the light was always a trigger for both science and innovation. And in this sense, Stefano's work is very important because he is putting light on a main issue what is coming. That's artificial intelligence and robotics. And I think in this case, the International Day of Light is giving us a big eye-opener for an issue what is coming in the next years.
As contemporary artists, I very concentrate with our society. AI, robots, they're already here. So with the robot, I will share my time, my space, and we will act a kind of mystical ceremony with fire, with circle of light. We will look the sun, the stars, in a kind of a message of hope and peace.
Well, I think Stefano did a great art piece, a great performance, just to talk about artificial intelligence and robots. They're going to change the whole life at the Earth. I don't think we know at this point what's going to happen in the next year. So this is a dystopic moment, and I think Stefano's artwork is very important exactly at this point.
We have this kind of technological revolution, this kind of wave of AI. It looks like a flood, so we need to face it, we need to think about, we need to balance.
Had so much fun this 1 hour with me watching this show and enjoying the news segments. We'll go on a very short break, and when we return, I'll review my guests to you. So stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching E-Vibes, the entertainment show on Signature TV. I have a one-of-a-kind guest live here right now with me. Her name is Esther Ebibo. Esther. So we'll be talking about she reclaiming spotlight. Don't worry, when I review her to you, you would know why I say she's reclaiming spotlight. You know Esther of Resonance, the lady that sang Chiwi ke lele lele lele. Don't mind my voice, I have kata. Yes. So she's a gospel musician, and I'll be reviewing her to you. Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome to the live here with me, Esther Ebibo.
Thank you very much. Guess what? You sang very well, actually.
I did.
You're not the only one who has kata.
Oh my God! Oh
I think it's going around now. I have a cough.
Oh, so exactly. So you understand, because I'm sure some people will be like, "Why is she singing with her cracked voice?" So welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. I love your hair. I love your skin. What should I say? I do not love now.
Oh, and I love your charisma.
I'm feeling myself. All right, so Esther, sorry, actually do not know that your name was Esther. Okay. What I always call you is that fine lady that sang Chiwike.
Yeah, I know a lot of people call me Chiwike or Lele.
These two songs.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through your journey creating the song with the group Resonance? Right? I'm right. Prove me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Walk us through your journey. How was it? How has it been, even when you got to this point?
Well, I've always sang. I started singing at the age of 3. My mom tells me that I used to just make noise in the house, and my brothers, when I started growing up, my brothers would be annoyed because I'd be making so much noise. I remember then I used to sing, I believe in angels, and every time I'll be repeating it and repeating it. My brothers are like, enough. But then at the age of 11, I learned how to play the guitar.
Wow.
Yes. So that was what motivated me to start writing my own songs.
Okay.
Then at the age of 17, I joined the church choir.
Of course, as expected.
I joined the Igbo choir, by the way, not the English one.
Okay.
Yes, and then in the Igbo church choir, there was this other person, the second member of Resonance.
Yeah.
So he was into rap, and
okay.
I was into singing.
Okay.
And he was like, guess what, let's go to the studio and record something.
All right.
And I was like, yes, I like that idea. So we went to the studio, and then we started recording, and we said we would record a collabo.
Okay.
So then we finished recording one song after another, and I record my own songs. I record Chinwike, I record Lele. He brings his own songs as well.
Yeah.
And we have the songs we co-wrote together as well. So it's really fun, and then it's moving. And I remember the first time I came to the studio, I was carrying my guitar, and I was really small in size because I was very young.
Yes.
So I came to the studio, and then the producer of Blessed Memory, his name was Ubio.
Oh, may so rest in peace.
Yes, he was the one under whom Derek Dekumsi was operating. So Derek Dekumsi produced our songs, but he was under Obio, the owner of the studio.
Okay.
So Obio sees me and starts laughing. And he's laughing, he's like,
yeah.
You know,
the whole sarcasm talk and all.
Because the guitar was bigger than me.
Okay.
So So then I was feeling so small. I was feeling so okay. So he said, okay, sing. Let me hear. Then I started singing and playing my guitar. And then he was quiet. And he was like, okay, when do you want to record? And that was when I knew that he was interested.
Yes.
Possibly there was something that was going to have potential. And so when Gucciano and I, the other member of Resonance, we went there, we started recording, and then we recorded this whole album. And then he said to me, I don't think we should do a collabo anymore. I think this should now be a group.
Okay.
So I said, okay, what name are we going to give this group? And he's like, okay, let me ask my brothers and let's think. And then he was like, Resonance. And that was it.
Wow. But you know, you stopped at a while, at a point. We were no longer hearing Lele, you know, sounds like that, songs like that. Yes, of course, there are more Christian music that have come up and all. So what happened? Why did you take a pause, if I should call it that?
Yes. Well, at some point, you know, being a woman and everything, I settled down.
Okay.
I became a mother.
Okay.
Yes, and I was telling someone the other day that the way we were thrust into the whole popularity, I wasn't expecting it. I went to the radio station just with the belief that if they just play my music once, I'll be very, very happy. I'll be grateful. And so I didn't, it just came like a huge surprise and, you know, favor coming upon us.
Yeah.
Which we were not even prepared for. Yeah, so with that came a lot of challenges and, you know, it was just a little bit overwhelming. And then I settled down and then, you know, in between though, I tried to release content.
Okay.
So that if you look for me, you wouldn't just see the old songs.
Yeah.
That was what I tried to do. I tried to just sing songs and put it out there so that people can still have a feel of me.
That you're still here, you've not gone anywhere or whatever, yeah.
I'm still alive.
Yes.
You know, there was something making the rounds at some point.
Okay.
On, I don't know, on social media, I don't know which platform, but someone came to me and said, some people said you're dead. I'm like, I'm still alive.
But I get the feeling, yeah, because, you know, when we don't hear about somebody anymore, and there's something one of my colleagues call it showbiz, you know, sometimes not really doing what you always do, but maybe pop up something, do something on social media, they will be like, okay, this person is still alive. So I don't blame them, but that was a very big blunder to make on socials. So now you're back. You're back on the spotlight, especially right now that even little children sings, right? And you released 2 beautiful songs, which of course you're going to perform here for us. I hope you're ready for that.
You'll hear some of me.
Okay, okay. So now, walk us through, what are your expectations? Did you notice anything new coming back? Did you notice anything new, especially in the gospel music industry?
Everything is new.
Okay.
Life change is the only constant, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that I don't see myself as a regular singer. I see myself as a servant of God.
Oh,
and I see myself
hallelujah.
So I see myself as being sent on an errand.
Okay.
And so everyone is called in their own unique way.
Yeah.
And so my own calling, I don't look at how this other person is doing something or that other musician is doing this.
Okay.
I just look at what is the Holy Spirit telling me and how am I going to follow the guidance of the Holy Spirit in me. So, and I think that is not necessarily bad in of itself.
Yeah.
Because it allows me to keep my authenticity and my own kind of sound and not be influenced by
trends.
Exactly.
Okay. That's quite exceptional, and I agree with you. Okay. I will still come back to a particular question in my head. So your new song, what actually influenced it? Because the first one is Zaza. I listened to Zazia, sorry. My bad. Zazia, you know. And everything is more like when you call on God, he answers you, and it's more like he he has never failed you. I'm actually a testimony of that. So tell us what your inspiration is. What actually made you to go out there and record that particular song?
Okay, so the story behind the song starts with, I recorded a song 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I went through a difficult period health-wise, and God really saved my life. And so I recorded the song Ifunanya. But I remember how grateful I was at that point. But then, now, to come to what I want to say, 2 years went by and I hadn't recorded any other song. And so on my Instagram, a fan wrote to me and said, I beg you in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, please release another song for us. And you know, so when you're being spoken to and you're not listening.
Yes.
So I saw, and there were other comments, but that particular comment just
hits you.
Hits me.
Yes.
And I even went to Google HaMashiach Messiah. So, because I already knew Yeshua, but I didn't know the HaMashiach
yes.
part. So then I couldn't sleep that night. I was like, I have to go back to the studio. I have to come back again. I have to sing again. You know, God has been so good to me, and He's calling me. You know, so that prompted me. I called Derek Dekumzi, the guy that produced Legality, as I told you.
Yes.
And I told him, hey, I know you're not around because he's in the UK, but we need to make this work. I want us to do a song. So he was like, of course, we should do it. It's
been a long time.
Yeah, it's time. Exactly. So I now started working on the song and going to the studio. And behind the song, Call on You, just like you said, it is a testimony of my life and my journey so far. I can't begin to start telling you the challenges I've faced in my life and all the things I've overcome. But I can tell you that I'm alive today and that I'm well and that I can speak to you is a testimony. And so I had to write that song, Call on You, to tell people that, listen, you can call on Him.
And He would answer.
And He will answer. And then when I recorded Call on You, from nowhere, it just dropped in my spirit. With the same beat, I started singing the Zazia. And the Zazia is more like a prayer. So it's like, Zazia no mo, yare nuwe. Zazia no mo, yare nuwe. God, let it happen. Answer me. And after I finished recording it, there was something I was asking God for.
Yeah.
And I was playing it, and I was lying on my bed. And guess what?
What?
God answered me. Yeah. So I truly believe that Zazia, as it dropped in my spirit, it is a prayer. It might be upbeat, but it is a prayer.
So we should give her a round of applause now. So, you minister, right? In churches?
What do you mean by minister? Now, let me explain. I was called from a background that isn't pure gospel. Like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
That's the uniqueness. That's why I said everybody's called in a unique way. Now, when I was growing up, I didn't listen to a lot of gospel music.
Okay.
And when I was supposed to write Chineke, I was writing Ife Nemenuwa, Ife Nemenuwa. And I was talking about the things happening in the
world, yeah.
And from nowhere, like I said, it dropped in my spirit. Onye Siri na
Ogaye Chetagi. Yeah.
The person that says they don't remember God is lost. He just came. And so having just been thrust into serving God without really realizing what was going on.
Yeah.
You know? So when people see me, they think that because I do gospel, that I've been very well vested in the gospel music, and I you know, I wasn't called like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I don't listen to gospel music, and it doesn't mean that I don't minister. Even in Germany, they call me into churches, and I sing. Amazing Grace is my favorite song I sing in the churches in Germany. So, and in Nigeria, from time to time, you know, I join the choir, so I sing, you know, in the choir. But, and then I go for 1 or 2 places I go and perform and minister. But in the sense that I'm like a minister, I would say I'm in training.
Okay, so have you thought about having backups in any of your music or something?
Yeah, I mean, in Ifunaya, there's backup there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's backup.
So what about collaborating with gospel artists like the ones we have now?
Yeah,
you know,
I think
especially the new generation of gospel artists.
Have you heard of any Ghanaian gospel music artist called, he does worship music, David Forlu?
I don't think I have.
I think he's amazing.
Okay, so you think of collaborating with him?
If
it should come up.
I would love that.
So what's so special about him that you like, that you want to really collaborate with him?
His voice.
Number 1.
And number 2, I can feel the Spirit of God in his music.
Wow.
Yeah.
So apart from the Ghanaian gospel artists, what about Nigerian gospel artists?
Well, there are a lot of Nigerian gospel artists, right?
But like if they should give you like a 10 to pick, who would you pick?
Oh, that's unfair.
I'm not
picking anybody.
Okay, I see what you're trying to do.
When we have Rada, Jesus,
Yes.
so many of them.
Yes.
But I'm not picking anybody.
I mean first. Oh God.
I'm not gonna go into that.
Okay, I understand what you're trying to do. But that's fair actually.
I respect every gospel artist. I respect them, and I think that they're doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
To not be ashamed and to use their voice and their talent for God, because I know that at some point in my life I had to fight some people who wanted me to stop singing gospel music, you know, and I had to put my feet down and say, no, I'm going to sing for God. This is who I am, and I stand by it. Great.
But is there any gospel artist you don't like his kind of ministration?
What?
But is there anything in the industry, the gospel music industry, that doesn't sit well with you? That maybe you would like to change at some point?
Well, I wouldn't concern myself with things that I want to change in others as opposed to things I want to bring to the table. And I think that what I want to do by the special grace of God is to be able to, just like God called me from the secular scene, to be able to reach out to the people in the secular scene.
Okay.
You know, and so what I'm trying to say is that the person who listens to secular music, who doesn't listen to gospel music, will listen to my music and the message is good. The message might save their soul. So the beat might be a little bit more contemporary.
Okay.
The message is there to save their soul.
Oh.
And if they give it a chance, you know, that's what I'm praying for.
Great. So, in your own opinion, what advice, what message, what motivation would you give to aspiring gospel artists that want to venture into gospel music?
First of all, speaking from my own personal experience, I think that you have to be called. It is not something you do because you want to make money. It's something that you have to do because you're truly in the depth of your spirit motivated to serve God. And then you have to also try to live the part. You have to try to live the life that your music talks about. So you're going to have to give your life to Christ.
Okay.
And then allow yourself to be carried along and to be led by the Holy Spirit.
You've heard it, Abi. Allow yourself to be carried along and be led by the Holy Spirit. Very important. I want to ask you a question on the lighter note, because I've been looking at your hair since. Is it natural?
Yes, it is.
Okay. She has a natural pixie coil. Okay, so we'd like you to do a little performance for us.
Okay, I'll sing a little bit from Call on You, and I'll sing a little bit from
Zazia.
These are the two new songs. So Call on You goes like, I rejoice in you, now that I live in you and for you. I can call on you anytime. You will hear if I call on you anytime. You'll be near every time I call on you. You will hear every time I call on you. You'll be near.
Great.
That is from Call on You.
Yes, do Zazia. And you'll do one of your old music. Which one do I pick now? You do Chimike. You do Chimike.
Okay, Zazia goes like, the chorus goes, Zanumo, Zanumo, Zanumo.
He's one of my favorites, actually.
Zazianumo, Yare, Yarenuwe, Zazianumo, Yare, Yarenuwe.
Oh yeah, do one of our favorites, Chimike. Do Chimike for us.
Okay. Chimike goes like, where do you want me to sing from? Chimike, the first,
whichever part you want to sing it. Onye Sirina, Oga Hechetagi.
Onye Sirina, Oga Hechetagi. Onya Hanala, Onya Hefula. Onye Sirina, Oga Hechetagi. Onya Hanala, Onya Hefula. Chetana. Chimike, 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 Chetana, Cheta, Chimike, Cheta, join me.
Chimike, Cheta, Chimike. Okay, we have just 1 minute. They've been telling me that you should do Lele for them, so if you can,
okay.
yeah.
Yesterday I asked my mama.
Oh, Mama, could you please tell me the way from here?
I could take. She said,
Lele, 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 oh, lele, oh, lele, le kenemo, sachivae. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. I had so much fun with you. This was wow. It was interesting.
Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for joining me. And I pray you go there and create that buzz.
Amen.
Break the wall.
Amen.
In fact, you're already there, whether they like it or yes. Thank you so much, Esther, for joining us. See you next time. The show has come to an end. This is where we draw the curtain. Join us same time next week. Same station. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't always forget to tune in to channel 265 on SLTV to get more interesting stories on the entertainment industry. I remain your baby girl, Queenette Mokonta. Enjoy your weekend and the rest of your day.
in our universities now, I'm not just talking about Nigerian universities, all over the world, students come out, with no jobs, I served as a provost of a university in the US for 8 years, and part of my major responsibility was curriculum renewal, faculty looking at curriculum, and you see still operating curriculum that has been outdated, and so when students graduate, there are no jobs. And so we put a number of things in place, which I can share, and which, that we can, I mean, part of the thing we said we will do was that, even if you're an English major, history, psychology, nursing major, before you graduate, you must have acquired a career-driven certificate program, a skills acquisition program. So you might be a nursing student, and by the time you graduate, you get a certificate in content creating, get a certificate in digital analysis, get something that, if you are not able to find jobs in your chosen field, you might start doing something, it will help you to assist. So you are employable immediately upon graduation. That is one thing that we tried to do. And then we went in and looked at, I told them then that I read English major, I teach African literature majorly, but I know when students come into the US, they want to get employment. I mean, the competition, if you are a PhD in English from Harvard, from Medgar College, from City University of New York, the competition is so great, all right? However, if you get a degree in what is topical in the health sciences, then you are sure at the end of your educational career, you are employed. Very good paying job. And so we said, let us revamp our allied health program. We had no allied health program in the college then, but we had to start instituting programs in allied health, in collaboration. So these are things you need to do to recreate, to revamp, so that the curriculum will be at the service of the students at the end. But the question is, how is it being done in Nigerian universities? Are we even talking about it? That is the question, and that is really part of my goal to, just want to, give back to what I learned as provost. It should play a major role. I mean, when you look at it, the college, the world is technologically advanced now. I mean, everything has to do with technology. And like I said, I'm English major, read English. I have the cell phone, And when you look at these days now, when we went to school, at every semester, we read about 10, 15 novels in a course. Now, if you ask students to read 6, 7, 5, even 5 novels, I mean, you are wasting your time, even though we have to do it. So how do you create a curriculum that will make use of those novels, but digitize them? So students will learn. Number one, students will read the novel.
Yeah, distinguished senator, recently you talked about your frustration and concerning insecurity in the Southeast. You had talked about bringing it to the floor of the hallowed chambers of the Senate, the highest law-making body in Nigeria, and you're not getting the kind of feedback, the kind of reaction, the kind of action that you expected. Can you tell us more about what is making you, feel the way you're feeling?
Yeah, thank you very much. My constituency is ENUGU North Senatorial District. And within the boundaries of this district, you have Igweze North, you have Igweze South, you have Udenu, you have Usuka local government, you have Igwetiti local government, and you have Uzuwani local government. Incidentally, Uzuwani local government has been a killing field over the years. In 2016, when former Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi was in the government house, the Fulani herdsmen attacked Nimbo. Nimbo is an agricultural village in Ozuwan, agricultural community, agrarian community. In fact, generally, Ozuwan is the food basket of Enugu State. Ozuwan is capable of feeding the whole of southern Nigeria. If you recall, the agricultural settlement, it's the first farm settlement set up by M.I. Okpara, was in Uzuwan local government area.
Yes, you're correct.
That is to tell you how far it has been discovered the agricultural potentials of Uzuwan in local government.
So why has this insecurity thing taken over in the past couple of years?
So as I was telling you, in 2016, Fulani herdsmen came to Uzuwan, precisely in Nimbo, overnight killed about 46 people, butchered men and women, including pregnant women. We all bemoaned the incident. I personally came from Port Harcourt and went to Nimbo to commiserate with them. Lo and behold, nothing was done except the effort by Utas. Utas was listening to them.
Yes.
Utas built a mobile police facility there. Until today, nobody has started making use of that mobile police facility. It is still lying fallow. Now, between 2016 and 2023, that's 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
The PDP government of Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi expired by the effluxion of time. And nothing was done. In fact, it was that incident that made Ugwuanyi set up forest guards that were ineffective or have been ineffective, have not solved any problem. Then, recently, the same terrorism has resurfaced in Uzuwan. Nimbo is not safe. In fact, last year, they went there and killed about 5 people again in Nimbo. Maybe you would have seen where I went to Nimbo last year. Precisely in May, I was on 24th May last year,
okay.
2024. I was in Nimbo. And nothing has happened since then. Now, they have come in full force. Nimbo is not safe. Adan is not safe. Ovoro is not safe. Nkorogu is not safe. Adaba is not safe. Name any village in Uzuwani, nowhere is safe. And nothing is being done. After my visit to Nimbo in May last year, I went back to the Senate. I moved the motion, which was adopted by the Senate. And the Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance followed it up. The Inspector General of Police has that resolution. The Chief of Army Staff has it. The Director General of Defense has it. The Director General of Civil Defense has it, and nothing has been done. They don't even have, the police in Uzuwani don't even have enough manpower.
Distinguished Senator, just permit me to come in a little bit.
Yes.
Very commendable that you, besides your personal visits to these embattled communities and localities, you brought this matter before the Senate. But knowing where we are in Nigeria, have you taken this matter further, like paying a visit to the Inspector General of Police, paying a visit to the DG of DSS? Because in Nigeria, if you really don't push your matter, nobody pushes it. Have you done anything in that direction, distinguished Senator?
Yes, we did. I told you there is a committee in the Senate.
No, I'm talking about you personally taking it up with these authorities.
Of course. And the police headquarters will say that, yes, they've gotten the resolution and they've directed the Commissioner of Police in ENUGU State to take up the matter. What is more, we are even talking of Uzuwani. Do you know that between Nike and OP Junction, they kidnap people every day there? And you have more than 15 checkpoints along that route. But of course, the solution to the problem is not the checkpoints. Sometimes I pity these security agencies. They are there morning and night. Just in between, just within 100 meters, they have already come out, kidnap somebody, and back into the bush.
I'm interested in the fact that you said that checkpoints are really not the solution. What are you suggesting?
What I'm suggesting is that there is insecurity in every part of Nigeria now. Even in Borno State, where the Boko Haram started, with all the number of military men, Air Force, Army, DSS, police in Borno State, the state government set up what they call civilian JTF. Made up of hunters who go into the bush, provide information, and then the security agencies will then take over. Let me also tell you, many state governments are no longer waiting for the federal government because the security agencies of the federal government, they are overstretched. And they are understaffed. You don't have enough policemen, you don't have enough soldiers, you don't have enough naval personnel, you don't have enough Air Force personnel, you don't have enough DSS, and so on and so forth. Anambra State has waited and waited and waited. Every day, there must be one report of one clean or the other in Anambra State. Anambra State government set up their own security outfit that works in conjunction with the security agencies.
Yeah.
I had expected that by now, ENUGU State should have its own security agency. Because, let the truth be told, we always accuse the headsmen. Sometimes you have headsmen working in collaboration with our own indigenous criminals. Now that the heat is on the criminals in Anambra State, some of them will enter into ENUGU State. Kogi State has set up a vigilante task force, with sophisticated weapons. That Uzuwani shares border with Kogi State. So you would expect that the bandits, as they call them, that will be chased away from Kogi, will find succor in the bushes in Uzuwani. In fact, it was discovered, no, let me make this point.
Yes.
It was discovered that the people that attacked Nimbo last year in 2024 and 2016, they came from Kogi State.
Really?
Yes. That was what the natives told us when we went there.
Distinguished Senator, are you saying that the ENUGU state government is negligent and that they are not doing what they're expected to do in terms of security?
It all depends on their priorities.
No, because you've given us examples of the other states.
It all depends on their priorities. I would have expected, I said it. I said I would have expected them. Okay, since all these killings have been happening in Uzuwani,
yes.
Have you heard any single statement from ENUGU state government condemning the atrocities?
During the Nimbo attack, the governor actually visited Nimbo.
That was 2024.
That in 2024, yes.
It is worse now.
So that's why I'm asking, distinguished senator, based on what you're saying, are you? No, I'm saying from what you're saying.
Yes.
Is this an indictment on the ENUGU state government that they are not doing enough in terms of security?
It's not. I don't. It's not my. I'm not in the. I'm not in a position to indict anybody.
But you're saying that if you had your way,
I'm taking the facts of what is happening to my people, and I'm begging the ENUGU state government to rise to the occasion.
Okay.
You said the governor visited in 2024.
Yes.
Please, as a journalist, can you ask them what they have done about insecurity in Uzuwani since 2024? So why is this still continuing unabated?
Distinguished Senator, let me come in again. At your level as a senator representing the good people of Enugu North, have you had a one-on-one with the governor where you raised your concerns about this insinuation that they are not doing enough? Have you raised it directly with the governor?
Thank you very much for this question. Let me make it very, very clear that all attempts I've made to call the governor, he never picked my call. All text messages I have sent to him, he never responded. I even wrote an official letter to him. Till today, there is no acknowledgement of that letter. There is no response. So
this is curious.
Yes, quote me. Quote me. I even got in touch with his personal staff to tell him that I was calling him for urgent matters. If as a senator, my governor cannot pick my call to know what is happening to my people, then it's very unfortunate. But that is the truth.
That is really worrisome, distinguished senator.
If what did not happen.
Okay, I can understand. I can understand how you feel with this matter, but going back to the Senate, this is something that has been brought to the floor of the Senate. The Senate is doing something about it, and you're not getting the results. According to Senate procedure, can you take that matter up again, drawing the attention of the Senate and the Senate President that a resolution has been taken on in this in the Senate is not being attended to by the officers that are supposed to do so?
My motion on the issue of killings is just one of hundreds of motions that have been moved and passed by the Senate in the last 1 year plus that we've been there. People from Jigawa State have raised motions. People from Plateau State severally. In Plateau State, it's like a monthly thing. People from Benue State, senators from Benue State. Or is it from Kogi? Is it from even ENUGU? My colleague Ostangu has also raised something like that sometime. As I told you, and as I told my people, we cannot, and that's what I'm advising the state government, we cannot continue to wait for the federal security agencies. They are overstretched. And so, our village vigilantes should be encouraged. For instance, ENUGU State has a forest guard.
Yes.
But we later discovered that the forest guard of ENUGU State was just what PDP government was setting up to use to intimidate political opponents and maybe possibly rig elections with them.
But forest guards were not involved in the elections in 2023.
Yes, because the federal agencies did not allow them.
Oh.
You know?
Okay,
so what they were planning.
So moving forward, distinguished senator, if at your level you're sounding this helpless, how will the people you represent, what can they do? If at your level your governor will not answer your call, will not take action, the Senate moves a resolution, the Inspector General is not taking action. If you're at this level, you're this frustrated, what happens to the ordinary people?
That's why I suggested to my people that the solution now is self-defense. The villagers have already defended themselves, so it's just that these people come now with sophisticated weapons. Otherwise, when we were children, our parents, it was not every day that our father would sleep in the house. When it was his turn to join the vigilante, in Osuka, there are places we call Otobo. You go to the Otobo and they make a fire. There's a bell there. They have a whistle. If they have suspicious movement, they will ring the bell or they will blow the whistle. And then other men will come out. And that's how they were able to catch those days people who come to steal people's goats or sheep, and so on and so forth. So what they need to do now is let's have vigilantes. Let people be more vigilant, working in conjunction with the police, the DSS, and the civil defense, so that if there is any strange movement or stranger they don't know, they can report to the police. And so on and so forth. We can't be sleeping with our two eyes closed. We need to go for self-defense. It's as simple as that.
Yes, distinguished Senator, a number of people are a little critical about the suggestion you're making. They said it could be an invitation to anarchy, and they draw a parallel with what just happened in Edo North, where the local vigilante had taken action, which led to the loss of 16 lives. And they are saying that by what you are saying, you're encouraging the ordinary people to take laws into their hands, which could be an invitation to anarchy.
No, far from it. Those people in Uromi, they were not working with the police, the DSS, and maybe civil defense.
Okay.
Those people were not working with the police and the security agencies. I said vigilante. Police licenses has issued license to vigilante groups. It's done. Well, any DPO, once you want to set up a vigilante group, you go to the DPO. The DPO will profile the people involved, and they give them permission to operate. Even the police commissioner anywhere, they know that vigilante groups operate, and they work hand in hand with the police. In my village, they want to call it Komog. And once they arrest somebody, they take the person to the police. So it's not anarchy. There's no anarchy at all. We're not talking about anarchy at all. We're talking about something we have been doing, but we need to take it more seriously. That's the point I'm making. Instead of waiting that something happens and they bring a lorry load of mobile policemen. Somebody was already dead.
Distinguished Senator, I must thank you for your very deep insight in this security situation, especially in the Southeast and especially in your local area of Nsukka North Senatorial District. Thank you so much, yes. And I hope that
and I'm sure you are a citizen of ENUGU State, and I'm sure you know that we are not talking of only Ozowa and the local government. Yeah. We are talking of Ugogo, Nike, Obi Road.
And of course, we are talking about in Hamofo, which was recently.
Even in your local government, Ojiriva.
Ojiriva, yeah.
They killed some policemen.
Yeah.
Last week.
3 policemen and burnt their police vehicle and took away their service rifles.
So that's what we are talking about. The security and welfare of the citizen is the primary purpose of government. Section 14 of the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria is amended. Security and welfare of the citizen is the primary purpose of government. Thank you very much.
Thank you, distinguished Senator. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's localize our conversation with Nigeria. Another book I read said that transformational leaders have to understand how to provide for their populations. And it goes further to say they must be honest, they must be confident, they must be disciplined, and finally they must lead by example. If this makes sense to you, do you think any of this has taken place in Nigeria? That's number one. Number two is that in your book, you have hinged a good percentage of the success of change on leadership.
Yes.
So
yeah. So leadership is not about position. So leadership can be provided by people who are not in positions of authority, but they have the charisma or the ability to rally people together. So just to say that I think leadership is important, and it's not just based on on your position of authority or power. It's about your capability to inspire people and get them to move from one point to another. So to your question about remarkable leaders, so in the book I talked about Sam Mbakwe, and it was where I was talking about leading by example, just to the point of this, to the quote you have. So this was a politician who, in a place like Nigeria, was able to rally his states to donate their own money towards starting off the construction of an airport. And we know that the relationship between Nigerians and the states is a rent relationship. It is extractive, what we can get out of government. That's why we call it national cake or state cake or whatever it is. But this leader was able to get people to give their money because they trust him, because they felt he was a man of integrity, because they've seen that he's a man that they can be trusted with their money. And so they willingly did it. And Sam wasn't different from other politicians in terms of he didn't have two heads. But he was a different breed who everybody was convinced put the interests of the people ahead of himself. And Nigerians, or the people of Imo State, responded to that kind of leadership. And which simply says that if you have the right kind of leadership, people will follow. People will get inspired. But sadly, if there has been one unfortunate character of the Nigerian state over the years, is the lack and the absence of inspirational leaders. We've been visited with a breed of mediocre leaders, people who find it difficult to be bold, visionary, and to submit themselves to the welfare of the Nigerian people. And because we don't have that kind of exceptional leadership, it has not allowed us to unlock who we are. And people will say, oh no, the followers also have a responsibility. Yes, I do agree. But that's a reason why there has to be a leader. It means he leads or she leads and people follow. And when you have a bad one, before you stop navigating the wrong road the person has taken you down to, you've lost a lot of time.
So, still talking about a country like Nigeria, how can leadership, even when they don't initiate change, how can leadership facilitate change or create the enabling environment for change and change actors to make progress?
We can also go back again, look into history or lessons from across the world to get some insight about what has worked. If there's anything everybody agrees on, is on human development. That as a country, as a people, as a state, the focus, the priority should be about human development. Making sure that the skills and the talents within that country is enhanced. That is, it is given the space to shine. It is given the opportunity to bloom. And when you invest in human development, you've built about the biggest natural resource you can ever have. And the good example of that is the story of Singapore. In 2007, I was fortunate to be in the same room with Lee Kuan Yew, and he was asked the question, what are the things that made Singapore successful? What's the trick? And his first answer was human development. They invested money, time, energy in young people, making sure they had the best kind of education, making sure they have the best kind of orientation. And he said to us that I sent a lot of them to the Ivy League colleges, and I know some of them will not come back. But I believe that even if just one person came back, the person will make a difference. And it paid off, because the bureaucracy, the Singapore bureaucracy, is one of the most sophisticated in terms of effectiveness across the world. And it's simply because he made that investment. So to your question, I would say human development, human development, human development. Natural resources without human development is a total waste, frankly.
So, can change happen with collaboration between the people and the government?
It can't happen without. That's the only way it can happen. Because let's not forget, government controls the levers of power. Government controls almost everything.
So if you have an unwilling government, that makes it impossible for change to happen?
Not impossible, but difficult. Because even an unwilling government can also be defeated by the will of the people.
So how do change advocates, how do they manage this very important relationship between them and the leaders?
So there are people who work in the space who are not interested in working with government. They focus their work in mobilizing communities. And the communities then make their demands, because the communities they're a voting bloc. They can exercise social pressure and political pressure. And so for some people, just work with the communities and let the communities make their demands. But I do think, there's no government that knows it all. So we also have to acknowledge that sometimes the failings of government might not necessarily be out of bad will. It could also be out of lack of expertise. Secondly, it could also be out of bad will. But in all of this, you cannot afford to not engage. Right? Now, how do you work with an unwilling government? You have to create disincentives and incentives. Disincentives could mean having those communities understand that the government is not working in their benefit, and then making that political demand or creating political sanctions for that kind of bad behavior. Incentive could be about making the government understand the potentials that are existing for which they can benefit as a government if they tap into it. There are no easy answers. It's infuriatingly difficult to move things forward, especially in a bureaucracy like Nigeria, where the technical government is not as efficient as desirable, and the political government is often corrupt, undermining whatever is left of the technical government. So it's a bit of a bad
So could this be the point you were trying to make in chapter 18, where you talked about capacity to talk to the enemy, in quotes?
Yes. So I do not think, again, it is possible to move things forward by saying, I'm not going to talk to these people.
So why did you describe them as enemies?
That's why I put it in quotes. Yeah, because a lot of people see, what they call the othering, the other people, the other side. So we create this notion of, I can't work with this person is really, really bad, and my integrity, I can't be seen with this person. But unfortunately, it's not about what you like, it's about what is practical. So say you have a minister who is incredibly bad, but he holds the pen. He's the one who can sign or not sign. He's the one who is making policy decisions about something that affects people you care about. You have to engage. Convince him, or at least get him not to do any harm. And the Mandela example, again, is a very clear example. This is a man who's been kept in prison for decades. The son died, couldn't bury the son. The mother died, he couldn't bury his mother. They used his wife to impose serious damages, emotional damages on him, seeing the way the wife was being maltreated, kept in solitary confinement and all of that. They did everything possible to break him. The only thing they did not do was try to kill him. But he said to himself, if I do not talk to these people, South Africa will not be free. And so he said, it's when you talk to your enemies, then they become your partners. And I think it is a very powerful approach to influencing change. You talk about Dr. King in the United States, the ability to talk to the white people, the ability to talk to the business community, who were actually the ones making life difficult, you know, this the separate body call. He knew he needed them to be in support, or at least not to fight against him, not a fight against the cause of the black people. So we just have to. It's not...
Must change always be violent?
It doesn't have to.
Can we achieve change like what happened in India with Mahatma Gandhi, and what happened in the US with somebody like Dr. King? How can we... Must it be violent, especially in African and developing countries, for change to happen?
It doesn't have to. A lot of times we see violence as a response of government.
in our universities now, I'm not just talking about Nigerian universities, all over the world, students come out, with no jobs, I served as a provost of a university in the US for 8 years, and part of my major responsibility was curriculum renewal, faculty looking at curriculum, and you see still operating curriculum that has been outdated, and so when students graduate, there are no jobs, and so we put a number of things in place which I can share,
Yes,
and
please
which,
go ahead,
that we can, part of the thing we said we will do was that, even if you're an English major, history, psychology, nursing major, before you graduate, you must have acquired a career-driven certificate program, a skills acquisition program. So you might be a nursing student, and by the time you graduate, you get a certificate in content creating, get a certificate in digital analysis, get something that, if you are not able to find jobs in your chosen field, you might start doing something, it will help you to assist. So you are employable immediately upon graduation. That is one thing that we tried to do. And then we went in and looked at, I told them then that I read English major, I teach African literature majorly, but I know when immigrants, when students come into the US, they want to get employment. The competition, if you are a PhD in English from Harvard, from Medgar College, from City University of New York, the competition is so great, all right? However, if you get a degree in what is topical in the health sciences, then you are sure at the end of your educational career, you are employed. Very good paying job. And so we said, let us revamp our allied health program. We had no allied health program in the college then, but we had to start instituting programs in allied health, in collaboration. So these are things you need to do to recreate, to revamp, so that the curriculum will be at the service of the students at the end. But the question is, how is it being done in Nigerian universities? Are we even talking about it? That is the question, and that is really part of my goal to, just want to, give back to what I learned as provost. It should play a major role. When you look at it, the college, the world is technologically advanced now. Everything has to do with technology. And like I said, I'm English major, read English. I have the cell phone, And when you look at these days now, when we went to school, at every semester, we read about 10, 15 novels in a course. Now, if you ask students to read 6, 7, 5, even 5 novels, you are wasting your time, even though we have to do it. So how do you create a curriculum that will make use of those novels, but digitize them? So students will learn. Number one, students will read the novels, even if they're not read the novels. Students will apply the novels to a modern day world. Students will use the novels to learn content creating. Students will use the novels to do whatever they're doing on the internet. Students will use the novels for blogging. All right. And so how do you infuse that in the curriculum to make sure it happens? So what we are doing is kind of merging, for example, African literature with a curriculum in sciences, in technology. So applying that, when students are not reading the entire novel, then how do you get them to read? You have to meet them where they are, and then use that to be employable at the end of their career.
we have male dominance in politics, which is number one. Men have dominated the political arena in Nigeria. We have educated women. We have women that have the zeal and the passion for politics, but the arena has been dominated by men. Men that, I'm sorry to say, they don't want to see women reach their desired position. So we have so many problems apart from the male domination. We have the religious problem, especially where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the northern part of the country. We have the cultural biases, we have the religious biases, which work hand in hand to bring women down during the political, in politics or generally in decision making in the country. So these three factors are the hindrance, what brought the hindrance in women participation or women inclusion in Nigeria. The hindrances, we've already overcome some of them, because when a woman goes out to campaign, if you look at the campaign arena, you'll find out that we have a lot of women, especially from the grassroots. You find out that women constitute majority of the voters and mobilizers for their parties, for their candidates. And even if you go to polling units, you find out that 75% of the people lining up to cast their vote are women and children and youths. So women are mobilizers, and at the same time, women usually they come out en masse to support what they want. So that first hindrances we've overcome it, because we can always come out to vote for what we want and what we believe will bring the best for our interests. But when you look at the political institution, a woman will vote, but when the candidate attains to power, she will be overlooked. She will be overlooked, and women interests have been overlooked nationally and internationally. At the local level, at the state level, at the international level, women interests are overlooked, in the sense that women are given negligible positions. Women have not been included in the decision making or in appointment by the political parties or by the governor, which we are calling from the state, from the national level, that women should be included in the decision making as stakeholders, as position holders in terms of appointment, so that we will have a say in politics. Since we have our votes, we mobilize, we gang up, we have loyalty, we have all what it takes. Less women have a voice, less women have a say. And when I talk about the religious biases, we've overcome the religious biases in the sense that women have been urged to come out to vote and to be voted for. It's not against our religion. It's not against our religion, and we've been doing that. We have so many educated women that are politically vibrant. Looking at the women coming out to vie for political positions, women are ever ready to come out en masse to support women, so that we'll see what will happen when women support women. Like the campaign we are having right now, that is women supporting women in the parliament, that will bring a lot of fruitful, encouraging atmosphere for women to be voted for. Like if you take for an example, if you look at the National Assembly, we have only 3 women in the Senate, only 3 women out of the 109 109, only 3 women are the Senate. So if we have women, a lot of women coming out to vie for Senate seats, a lot of women will come out to encourage them to be part of it, so that we'll have a lot of women senators. When you look at the state, the House of Representatives, we have only 17 members, women, only 17 in the National Assembly. Out of 366, we have only 17 women, which is very, very negligible number. We need to do more. Women need to come out en masse to support women, so that we will attain so many positions, viable positions, important positions in the Senate and in the National Assembly, at the state, at the local level, even at the national level. So women supporting women is a very important issue which we need to address as women, and to encourage each other to come out and support each other. And also, when you look at the Nigerian Constitution, you will find out that we have the 35% affirmative action, which has not been met up till this time. It has not been attained by women. When you have 3 senators, you have only 17 members in the House of Assembly. That means we are nowhere. Women are nowhere. Even the quota has not been met.
So the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics just recently released the latest inflation rate, and they say that the numbers are looking pretty good, and the inflation rate has eased to just under 24%. That's around 23.71%. And to some extent, so many persons have been reacting to that. That really does not reflect what's happening in the markets. Because if you go to the market, at least you should see some reduction in prices of goods, maybe services. But if the statisticians of Nigeria is saying that this is what it is, then I wonder really, does that reflect in your budget? Does that reflect in the things that you buy in the market? You know, that is for me the most important. Ask the common man who goes to the market every day to buy foodstuff. Are things getting better? The inflation really trickling down to that little markets next door? To what extent really will that stay on, you know? And how much of that do you think we can hold off on as we build up to the 2027 general elections? Welcome everybody. This is the morning show. I'm Charles Pius. We're going straight to the dailies on our newspaper this morning. Just stay with us. We're beginning on the Daily Trust newspapers this morning. On the Daily Trust this morning, Nigerians reject rep's proposal for compulsory voting. With the rider, lawmakers recommend 6 months jail, 100,000 naira fine for defaulters. APC, PDP, LP in coalition against Tinubu, says Atiku. Interesting. Well, what party is Tinubu again? Well, maybe we should start reviewing that. APC, PDP, LP in coalition against Tinubu, says Atiku. Gunmen invade palace, abduct traditional ruler in Kogi. Drop in food prices. Others reduces inflation to 23.71%. 8 killed. Houses burned in another attack in Plateau. Salah. Prices of rams may go up as Niger bans livestock exports. That could have been Niger. Okay. Salah. Prices of rams may go up as Niger bans livestock export. From bandits' dens to Hall of Fame, Yari girls excel in JAMB. From bandits' den to Hall of Fame, Yari girls excel in JAMB. Recharging Lake charge critical to war against terror in Northeast, says CDS. All the details you can find on the Daily Trust. Now over to the This Day newspaper. On the This Day this morning, NUPRC to raise Nigeria's active oil rigs from 36 to 50 by end of 2025. Inflation declines to 23.71% amidst lower food and energy prices. Severe in Ekiti, Kebbi, Niger, others. Varsity Dawn hails price modernization or price moderation as boost to investor sentiments and macroeconomy. Tinubu heads to Rome on Pope Leo XIV's invitation with bragging rights of 62% Christian appointees. Interesting. The Daily Times newspaper, Tinubu backs Mali, calls for West African unity. MDAs should patronize locally manufactured vehicles. Senator Ndubueze speaks. Lagos debunks reports on civil servants absconding after foreign training. West Africa security and political economy. Foundation calls for more women in elective appointive positions. Group demands sack of Education Minister and JAM Registrar over UTME crisis. All the details on the Daily Times newspaper. And now to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Elections, reps push for 6 months imprisonment and 100,000 naira fine on non-voting citizens. ECOWAS court orders Nigeria to release man detained for 16 years without trial. Stunning. ECOWAS court orders Nigeria to release man detained for 16 years without trial. UTME reps to probe poor performance to provide allocation for construction of CBT centers in 774 local government areas in 2026 budget. Advises board to release results of under 16 candidates. Odua's investment company posts 82 billion naira comprehensive revenue, declares 518 million naira dividends. Or your government to deliver secular road 2027. Court convicts 10 Thai sailors. Ship slams $4.3 million fine over 32 kg cocaine trafficking. Bauchi governors insulted my late father, threatened to slap me. Foreign Affairs Minister. Again, PDP, NNPP lose 3 reps to APC. With the writer, APC National Chairman Ganduje witnesses defections. Kidnappers seize ransom bearers in Ondo, demand 30 million naira for APC chair, 2 others released. Nigeria's inflation eases to 23.71%, says the NBS. And now to the Punch newspaper. On the Punch this morning, parents fear WAEC UTME overlap as receipts begin today. Economic strain, inflation surges above 30% in Abuja and 10 states. Food inflation hits 51.8% in Benue amidst persistent insecurity. OPS laments rising prices. And still on the Punch, just above the mast, APC fumes as Atiku names parties in anti-Tinubu coalition. Service chiefs tour military bases after terror attacks. Tinubu to join world leaders at Pope's inauguration. National Assembly divided as compulsory voting bill advances. 5 arrested over 2-week-old baby sale. Lasiek rides INEC over 3 LP factions in Lagos. Indeed, it's elections o'clock, and it's always going to be this drama playing out on the front pages until the elections are done, and then we can now have some respite and some peace. But in the meantime, there's no peace until that elections are actually done and dusted. Anyways, we're back to the table. We have with us live in the studio Lawrence Ibenyewa. He'll be the one to do the analysis on the front pages today. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning, Lawrence.
Yes.
How do you do?
I'm okay. Thank God.
Okay, so inflation eases off to 23.71%. A welcome development.
I saw 2 inflation figures. The one in Punch said so used to 30% in Abuja and 10 other states. The other one is saying 23%. I don't know which one I'm to believe.
Yeah.
But I know that in Nigeria, insurgency continues. Farmers are not yet going to the farms. Those who go are mowed and killed there. So I think we are beginning to. When should we begin to believe our data as reliable? I don't know who released the other one. I don't know who released the second one. But in the same country, different statistics. Surges beyond 30%, goes down to 23%. The same country, the same economy. But like you said earlier, I think the basic thing is, I'm not interested in these figures. I'm interested in food on my table. When I go to the market, what do I buy with the money I have in my pocket? That's the most important thing. Pushing these figures on us, gone down, gone up, gone down, it will be seen, we'll feel it when it goes down. It will reflect in the market prices. It's as simple as that. In how do I move from place to place with less pain, less rigors, and so on and so forth. Well, statistics should not be thrown away. But just like we're talking about our population, census, some people quote 300 million, some people quote 217 million, some people quote 250 million, and so on and so forth. So I think that government should also just pay attention to making the economy better. And when it is made better, people will feel it. They will welcome it, and they will share the government in power. That's the way I want to talk about those inflation figures.
Well, one of the things that people look out for in terms of cost of production, they're looking at transportation. And recently, we've seen Dangote tinker with the prices of fuel, and then the NNPC. NNPC, reduced price, and just after Dangote reduced their own price. If this pump price of fuel keeps going down, do you think it will have a significant impact on the prices of goods?
Many people commute to work. Not all of us drive cars as we do. So the first way of knowing that has the transport fare from Apapa to Biago reduced? Has transport fare from Apapa to Old Park, has it reduced? What is even this decline we keep saying astronomical reduces? What is percent of reduction?
It was 950. It cut down to 820 something.
It's not yet significant to me, because these people, they know that the transporters, the KK riders, the commuters, and the bus drivers and so on, these trucks, they still complain that if it decreases, it will not make them to reduce price immediately, because they will think that their loss will reduce minimally. But that's not to the extent of slashing price of transport fares. So I think it should continue to go down, but it's not yet a figure that we celebrate. That's the
so what figure do you think will be a fair price for the pump price of fuel in Nigeria today?
Charles, if a country is producing crude oil, as we do produce, and what we were importing before, we were importing because the people who were refining the products, we have local labor now, which is very cheap. We have the byproducts of those fuel that we were exporting that we lost by exporting. They are still here now, and all that, and the refineries are here. The dollar thing is, so we're no longer battling with dollar
exchange.
So what is this? Is this the reduction you expected? Not for me, no. I don't think that fuel should be necessarily at 500 naira even at this time. Personally, that's my opinion. It may not be scientific, but that's my opinion. So this, when you say there's a 10 naira drop, 5 naira drop, and we begin to publish it and make it headlines, it baffles me.
Interesting. Anyways, other developments were following. Nigerians rejecting reps' proposal for compulsory voting. The reps are proposing that, look, it's compulsory. It's a civic responsibility for you to vote. So if you do not vote, you will be fined or you go to jail for 6 months.
You know, I look at these things as comedy. Sincerely speaking, to me it is comedy. In a country where people voted, their vote was not reflected in the result that was announced eventually, and we were told there was glitch. And we have not sent those who caused the glitch to the prisons. We have not caused those who fortified the result to prisons. We have not forced those who made the result not to count. Who made those who lost the election to be in power, and those who want to be out of power. And you are talking about someone who refuses. How many people are going to vote? The first thing is to fix the electoral process, make it transparent, and let people's vote count. That's what we do. And begin to talk about making it compulsory for what? No, those who voted, what did they vote? What did the one they voted? What did you do with it? I mean, to me, it's comedy. It's dead on arrival.
Well, don't you think it's a welcome development? I mean, it's your country, and you just have to perform that civic responsibility for you. But the importance
is to set up an independent electoral commission that will be truly independent. That will make the voter when people vote, let their vote count, let their vote make meaning. They should, all of them, that person who proposed that we should even be in jail now.
Yeah, I mean, the idea around this is not necessary.
Let if I vote, let it make meaning that in my Charles, I've said this several times. I was watching Igini before the elections, and it was telling us even what is contained in the electoral law, that you do not contest for 2 positions at the same time. If you contest for 2 positions, you've lost the post 2 positions. Somebody was contesting for presidency of Nigeria in the electoral law and contesting for senatorial position. And now the person is in the Senate and Senate as a Senate president. Electoral law says you cannot, and the person is there. And people say, and some people voted for a contested election, and in the 2 hours of the night, you announce the result. And told us there's an electoral. People are celebrating Oloide for coming out to apologize for the glitch that happened in the JAMB result. A lot of people have, even though some are saying that, but people have commended him for coming out and trying to remake it. If there was a glitch, how did you try to correct that glitch that happened? These are the basic things, not telling people that they must go and vote. Vote for what? The one they voted, what have you done with it? It's comedy to me. I think they're joking.
I mean, that period, INEC was not, I don't think they have a law already made and that stated that there was no way for placeholders. At that time, there was this thing that politicians, developed. They called placeholder. Somebody can decide, okay, let me go for this while I put somebody there here for some time.
Who were the placeholders?
There were people who were placeholders at the time.
The person that contested with Lawan, for instance, was in court. They were in court until the last pronouncement by the Supreme Court that, the last one that is the winner. There is not a placeholder. They were there on their own. They challenged the declaration of the man as president, as a winner. If it was a player, would he challenge him?
Yeah, but these things happen. I mean, I could still have the placeholder.
In this case, did he challenge would you tell somebody who is your placeholder?
You won't actually, but
you won't. So if I'm telling you, it means I'm not a placeholder. I contested on my right as a candidate.
Some persons actually said that some political persons, riled him to continue, that nothing would happen, that the law is going to back him.
Did the law back him?
Well, to the extent of the court processes, and the court pronouncements, maybe he didn't. He wasn't backed.
He wasn't backed. That you said it.
Anyways, let's talk about this issue regarding APC, PDP, LP coalition that Atiku is mouthing. It does look like Atiku has some inroads, or maybe have some information that even APC themselves don't even have.
This is a very funny country. Atiku is organizing parties into a coalition. What is happening in his own PDP? Just 2 days ago or yesterday, the Anambra, the Southeast
PDP
caucus were threatening, to pull out of the party because of the secretaryship position that was denied Udokoye. Who is their candidate, as a matter of fact. These things have not handled it. Their party is beginning to tear apart, and you are forming coalition. Which faction are you coaliting with, or are you going to coalition with? So these things are very. You first of all put your house in order. Is PDP in order? PDP is not in order. So if your party is not strong, you are not going to coalition with any much strength. He's the only person who, and I don't see people in this coalition. He is not the chairman of PDP. He is not secretary of PDP. He is not a board of trustee member. Maybe he is. But the power, if you go to this kind of arrangement, why don't you carry along the key stakeholders in the party? Because it will sound serious. He is going there as Atiku, not as PDP. Who else in PDP has mentioned that coalition? The way Atiku talk mouth it. Is it going to a Atiku coalition with other parties, or PDP coalition with other parties? Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Because even the governors forum have said that they are not ready for any kind of coalition.
These are people. We can't carry. You are not carrying the governors forum along. You are not carrying the BOT along. You are not carrying the neck of the party along. And you are moving around talking about coalition. Coalition with who and who are what who.
Yeah, but again, the issue of opposition again has been, one that has been discussed widely. PDP is a big, up until this moment at least, they are the biggest opposition party because of the fact that they have up to 11 governors now. So you would wonder whether really, beyond them playing their own role, do you think APC is playing a role in dismantling them?
It's not a crime. It's not just like PDP is doing in ENUGU state. PDP wants all the opposition parties to collapse into PDP. And they're succeeding. Haven't they been doing that? When they went to Edoga and said, we want you to come back to the fold. It's not a crime for a party to want to be stronger than it is when he got the power. In fact, in the past, during the NPP and there were, what do you call it, alliances. When they form governments, they bring in people in other parties to make this government stronger enough. So it's not a crime. But it is for those who are leading those parties to be wary and know what they are going into. People have given you a mandate, people are following you, and you just, all of a sudden, just like the what do you call it? The campments or the campings I'm seeing every day. This is not the camp, the person the camps and so on and so forth. The camp with people's mandate, the camp with, and even that's another aspect of electoral that has nobody has talked about, that is being flouted on a daily basis. You are voted into power from a political party, and you dump the mandate of people, move to another party, and you retain your power. It is unconstitutional, and it happens every day. These are things that people.
But there's a caveat to that. That if your party is under some
even when there is no. which part, I mean, there's a caveat, but it is not the caveat that it is not. They are not living because of crisis in parties. They are looking for protection and they are looking for upward movement. It's not because of the caveat we're talking about.
But do you think that that particular law should be amended, and what should be the amendment?
Please, whether which amended or what? The law as it is good.
There's a caveat because somebody can decide to sponsor problem in the party, and then because they already have a plan to move, and then they actually move. But do you think that that particular provision should be amended to once you have been voted into power from a party?
Yes.
You can't leave that party until the next election, or maybe something. I don't know. People who do these laws should have.
Because that caveat they are clinging on to is not even what is not their motivation.
But you are the one saying it.
Yeah.
You are the one saying it. What if their own motivation is the fact that there's a problem in their party, and the law allows them to move if there's a problem in their party?
For instance, is there a problem in PDP now in terms of crisis?
There is now.
There's the leadership of PDP has a leadership. Is there any issue about leadership of PDP?
There's problem. We've seen caucus say that they are going to leave if they are not well respected or if they are not co-opted. We've seen.
That is not a crisis. They want to be. It's not a crisis.
But it depends on what you describe as crisis. The court is going to interpret what crisis is.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Even people, or even want those who are being decamped from. I want them to take it to the court and let it be tested in court. I'm sure that if these things are tested in court, some of them have no reason to have left. Some people left even before there was a crisis in the party. I can tell you. Some people left even before there was anything of crisis in the party. So it's not because of crisis that they are leaving.
Look at what happened in Rivers State. The State House of Assembly members, all of them decamped. The Supreme Court at the end of the day said that there's no proof anywhere that they decamped.
Even they announced that,
of course.
I have said judiciary is part of our problems in this country, whether we believe it or not. It is part of our. That's why Ababu is in the Senate. That's why Lawan is in the Senate. They're part of our problems. The bigger part. I saw when Odenkalo was saying this. What was it called? How did you describe it? When the judiciary become the electorates of Nigeria. Something, a piece he wrote I read somewhere. What is he saying? The court has become the electoral body in Nigeria.
That decides who leads.
Yeah.
Which is not good, really. So let's talk about finally this the probing of performance by the UTME and JAMB. I mean, first of all, the crying of the boss of the JAMB.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a welcome development? Some of the persons have said that, well, this is different and it looks good. At least some people, if people can cry and be remorseful about, bad performance. Yeah. I mean, it means that it's a welcome development of some sort. But then again, some others have said, look, crying will not solve it. Just put in your resignation and move on.
Sincerely speaking, I'm part of those who welcome the tears and
okay.
For a man of that, even it was people can act anything. When it was acting, he acted very well. It was a good. So, but sincerely speaking, I adopt my cap for what he did. At least someone else could have claimed that nothing happened, that people are no longer reading hard, that people are no longer studying. They would have accepted that it was a glitch. If INEC did the same thing during the of course not. If INEC did the same thing.
If Yakubu cried, would you have accepted?
And they remade it, that is the difference. If he cried and left the result to go the way it is, it won't make any meaning. But the man is, people are sitting for JAMB again on Saturday. I mean, am I correct?
Yes.
Saturday,
Yes.
Saturday.
It starts from today. It's like a continuous thing. So
it's another chance for those who are involved. He has accepted that it was a mistake made by one or two people. That's why we don't 100% trust technology. Once in a while, such things happen, and not just in Nigeria. It happens everywhere. So, but to have accepted that it happened, apologized, and shed very expensive tears, I mean, I think we should forgive him.
Do you think the way and manner it came, like southeast and then Lagos, I mean, so many persons started putting some coloration of ethnicity and tribalism
I know
to it.
that's how it will go, but I don't want to believe that. I don't want to toe that line. I don't want to toe that line at all. I won't believe that. If it was done to harm the people, why is he giving him another chance? So he would have just defended it and he give a stout defense, and nobody would do anything about it. So
Right.
I think that I also saw House of Reps saying they are going to, this playing to the gallery all the time is what makes is just funny. What are you have not that thing to do? He has already told you what happened. What are you investigating again? This is what happened. There was a technical whatever, and we are trying to, and it won't happen again. That's all we need to do. So why are they wasting their time going to investigate?
A lot to investigate.
Very active house.
Laura Sibeyewa, many thanks for your insights. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we're back after this short break. Just stay with us. Welcome back. It's 8:34 on this fine 16th day in the month of May. The weekend is upon us, but not before we highlight some of the major issues that are bedeviling our nation. The vulnerable groups in Nigeria are a group that by now, I'm sure they really would not understand what the inflation rate is. All they care about is their plight. What is the government, what is the society doing about their life, and what they're expected, to do and to be part of the society as a whole. We're going to be speaking to empowering the vulnerable groups in Nigeria as a topic. And Chika Oju is standing by. She's a veteran journalist and a humanitarian. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. Hello, Chika. Can you hear me? You do well to please try and unmute your microphone on your device, if you can, would you? Hello, Chika. Please, Chika, if you can hear me, unmute your microphone on the device. Hello, Chika. So I can only imagine what the vulnerable groups are actually going through. As someone who even works and earn a living, you know, I can only imagine, you know, someone who really doesn't work and who doesn't do as much as, you know, service that they would do when they have a skill to do that, you know. So sometimes empowering these vulnerable people are actually very important, because part of the reasons why we have a lot of insecurity around us is because of the fact that these people are, you know, introduced into societal, you know, menace in the way of stealing from people. I mean, the other day I was listening to somebody who told me that someone's car was actually snatched from them at gunpoint, you know. And so there are also some persons too who have gone into armed robbery and kidnapping, largely because, again, they are vulnerable to the extent of the fact that they are not able to fend for themselves. Yeah, you could argue that, well, sometimes when you are a thief, you're not necessarily a vulnerable person or an vulnerable person. It's just that you have refused to do some jobs that are around you. But again, we also have to look at those issues with a view to finding out solutions as to how we could help these vulnerable people, especially those who are willing to work, who are willing to learn, and who are also willing to, you know, grow themselves in order for them to now become a better, you know, people contributing their own quota to the development of the society. I mean, if we leave these guys all by themselves, you know, you could be in deeper trouble. The vulnerable persons could be, you know, women, you know, youth, you know, and some persons too who have also lost their breadwinners. You know, sometimes it becomes really terrible when we have the unemployment rate shooting up every single time. And then we have the numbers building up, even with the fact that it's impossible for government to even absorb people in different quarters, in different places for jobs to be gotten. So when you see and hear some of these, you know, things that vulnerable people pass through, it becomes really difficult for anyone to be able to, you know, not tell the reasons why we have our society in decadence. All right, I don't know if we have Ambassador Chika Oju with us already, veteran journalist and a humanitarian, if she's back on the line with us. Chika, can you hear me? Okay, Chika, you have to unmute your mic. Can you unmute your mic if you can, please? All right, we're headed for a short break. When we get back, we're hopefully going to reconnect with her afterwards. So stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
The hospital facilities and other paraphernalia of the UNTH ENUGU practically moved from the hospital to the Umuchibo and Umuenewene health centers in ENUGU East local government area. And that way, the Department of Nursing Sciences wanted to make their impact felt in the community in line with their professional calling. In commemoration of the 6 weeks community health outreach in the academic calendar of the nursing department, the Umuchibo and Umuenewene health centers were part of the celebrations. The occasion brought to an end the successful public health service rendered to these communities by the University of Nigeria nursing students. The ceremony was attended by a large number of health practitioners, nursing mothers, nursing students, administrative staff, lecturers, community members, and their leaders, parents, and spouses. The event commenced with free public health services, followed by an intensive health session where health experts shared diverse knowledge on the importance of breastfeeding in promoting infant health and development.
This is like our grand finale where we take care of people to know like their health status, and then we give free drugs to people in the community. I've attended to up to 30 people so far.
It's a great opportunity. It's wonderful because most of the time the issues we have is that people will have sickness for the cost of getting diagnosed and so no, the right treatment has always been. So this is actually helpful and it's very good.
Dr. Ijomi Ilo, in her welcome address, expressed appreciation to the initiators of the Community Health Week. She said it was a wonderful idea that it was included in the department's calendar, stating that it's a way of bridging the gap between health experts and the community.
Health Day of the Community Health Unit of the Department of Nursing Sciences, UNEC, was initiated by Professor Mrs. Ijoma Ihemere in an effort to bridge the gap between theory and practice for our students. It started as a feasibility study organized by Professor Ijoma Ihemere and Professor Ezendoka of blessed memory. The first annual Health Day was held in 1998 at Ugogo here in Nike.
Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences and Technology, Professor Charles Ezema, noted that the community health program provides a valuable opportunity for students to contribute to the communities.
Makes great impact on both economic recovery, reduction in health problems, morbidity and mortality rate, because so many people cannot afford the cost of medical care. So that when the health care is taken to the community, so they benefit. So they are here to assess, diagnose, and treat especially children and elderly, people that have kids.
Lecturers from the department emphasized the numerous benefits associated with breastfeeding, urging nursing mothers to practice exclusive breastfeeding.
It's a win for the child, it's a win for the community, it's a win for the family. A win for the child. A healthy child is a child who is exclusively breastfed and continuously complementary feeding. And this child is less prone to illnesses. This child is healthy, mighty, strong, immunity-wise, and every other.
According to the nursing students, breastfeeding is essential for the health and well-being of babies, mothers, and the community at large, as highlighted by their shared insights during the event.
Breastfeeding is of utmost importance to an infant. First of all, I'll talk about colostrum, the first milk, the yellowish colored milk that a mother produces first. It gives the baby like a balanced diet. The baby doesn't need any other thing. Also, it gives antibodies, like it gives the first line of defense an infant needs. So a baby that is constantly taking breast milk, that's exclusive breastfeeding, will not suffer any illness that is like rampant among children.
What inspired the community health is actually to reach out to the community, to teach them things they need to know about health, help the community, build our community. Our theme for this event particularly is breastfeed a child, feed the community. So for this particular program, we brought it to like teach the community, especially young mothers, pregnant women and the rest, how to like feed a child, right? To breastfeed a child, take care of the child till the baby is 6.
By emphasizing the importance of breastfeeding, the nursing students aim to inspire positive change and encourage a supportive environment for nursing mothers. In ENUGU East Local Government Headquarters, Chinemerem Ikebunam reporting for Signature TV News.
Welcome back. It's 8:50 a.m. in the morning, 16th of May 2025. The weekend is upon us. Hope you're good. Today we're going to be highlighting the topic empowering the vulnerable in Nigeria. Chika Uju is a veteran journalist and of course a humanitarian. She joined us via Zoom this morning. Good to have you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Sorry for the whole thing.
All right. So tell us who these vulnerable people are and why it's important to cater to them.
Actually, vulnerable people are adults, that are very comfortable in their own skin or color. And they do not wear any mask. But unfortunately, they are being insulted by the weak, who cannot even identify themselves.
Okay, so why you think it's important to cater to them?
Why I think it's important to cater for them is because they are human beings like you and I. They should be given sense of belonging. They should be accommodated because they are equally God's creature.
Well, okay, so from your standpoint, do you think that the government is doing enough in terms of catering to them, at least to the extent of providing the basics that they would need to at least fend for themselves?
Actually, to the best of my knowledge, the government is not doing enough to assist the vulnerable. They have not done anything much. They have been neglected, and it's not giving us joy, myself in particular, as a woman and as a human being. So in other states, in other countries, they are being taken care of. But where you and I come from is a different ball game altogether, and it's not good.
Okay, so if you were, for instance, going to adopt what other countries do in Nigeria, to what extent do you think that can work? I mean, we've had several, programs before in Nigeria, poverty alleviation programs, right from even the military era up until this moment. But we still have people who are still vulnerable, who don't have access to the basics of life. What do you think that we can adopt with what is happening across the world?
Actually, the government of the day tried to make them have that sense of belonging, but those representing them have not been able to do much. You will see them acquiring what belongs to those they are better off than. You will see them sharing it among themselves, their families. And it's wrong. So the only thing we can do is to create a committee and make sure that the vulnerable amongst them are co-opted in that committee, for them to have a voice, for them to know what is being given to them, how it's being shared, how it's being allocated. I believe by doing so, it will enhance most of their problems.
Many people would say creating another committee. I mean, isn't that what has caused the problem so far? I mean, if we have had several poverty alleviation up until now, in fact, we still have the number of unemployed people. We still have people who... Okay, go ahead,
sorry,
please.
the right people have not been co-opted into the committee. We still have wolves under the sheep clothes. The right people, when you put the right people around, step in a round hole, you will see things working out. We still have people who do not have human feelings in managing the affairs of the vulnerable, even managing the affairs of, the society. They should dig deep and, get to the root of all this. They know it. When you're talking about the vulnerable, we are talking about those who cannot be able, who do not have the powers of their own. The adult, the low income, the disabled. But you see somebody, a flat, human being, coming, bearing that, all in the name, to have what belongs to the lower class. Who does that? It's only people that with that conscience that, go into that such practice, and it's not helping the society. Neither is it helping the vulnerable people, adults in our midst.
What role do you think education plays in alleviating poverty and even helping with the vulnerable population?
Education is the key. Those of them who wants to be enlightened, who wants to be educated, who wants to attend, tertiary institution, secondary institution, primary institution, should be given that opportunity to do so, should be empowered to do so. And by the time they're able to acquire it, they will be on their feet to take any challenges that comes across them. So if government can invest more in their education, it will enhance their life. In my own thinking.
So many persons think that the most vulnerable people in the society are mostly women and children. Do you agree to this point? Do you think there are actually there are other people who are considered vulnerable people?
There are others, men inclusive, not only women and children. But you can only say that women and children are the weaker, side of it. And, they receive all manner of abuse.
Right, so...
when not checked.
So in terms of helping out with these, knowing that the numbers are actually more on women and children, how do you think that collaborative effort between the private sector and the public sector would be able to assist people, especially those in the rural areas, in order to be able to be better for whatever it is that they're out to do?
They should be allocated to a good environment where they can be looked after, where can they be checked on regularly. The communities, the private sector, the government, it's our duty to do that for them because they don't have that strength, just like we do. When somebody is about to rape you or having carnal knowledge with you or something like that, you can always be able to run away, but then they cannot. When somebody wants to hit you with a machete, you can be able to run away, but they cannot. So it is our duty to checkmate them, to be by their side, check them hourly. Even if it means every second, they need that attention from us.
For you, what are the most important strategies in empowering women, especially in the rural areas?
Come again, please.
What for you is the most strategy or the best strategy in empowering women? Say, for instance, if government decides that they want to empower women in rural areas, what do you think that they should be looking at? How do you think they can go about it?
Skill acquisition. Skill acquisition.
What type of skill?
Depending on what they can be able to do. If it means, tailoring, which they call fashion and designing now, or having, a hairdressing salon, or weaving, depending on what they want, even trading, they can be empowered in a small scale aspect of it. It's not only the government, to do it. Individuals can, private sectors can, because it's a collective exercise, and we don't need to allow the government to do it alone. But government should have upper hand, And the moment such is being done, you will see them having more lives. You know, we are putting smiles into their lives. And those that, you know, have bad intentions of, you know, terminating their lives, you see them coming back to fold, interacting with us.
Right. Interesting, really. I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, what do you think might be the barriers or obstacles that the vulnerable people might be facing in assessing some of these skill acquisition programs, this know-how? Do you think that they may probably have barriers or obstacle in it?
Yeah, there will be an obstacle if they are not well checkmated. There will be an obstacle. So whatever they are being given to, there must be people to monitor them, to monitor their exercises, to monitor their living, to monitor whatever they do. Like I said earlier on, they are the weaker, you know, creature due to the kind of a situation they find themselves. So
right.
they need to be monitored.
We know of several NGOs that are involved in helping vulnerable people. I mean, we could say that the government really hasn't adequately done well, but do you think that the actions of some of these NGOs are also helping, and to what extent? Because some of these NGOs also receive a lot of, support from international donor agencies, and sometimes these agencies don't really cascade these resources down to the vulnerable people. So I'm wondering, do you think that the role of the NGO right now, you know, it's helping matter at all?
They are not. Some of them are just using the vulnerable to enrich themselves. We all know that. I know that, you do. And they don't have conscience. That's why they are doing that. And they forget that it's a judgment day at the end of the day. So most of the NGOs we have, some of them, they don't even care. All they want is that money. Maybe they will just give out peanuts to those people. Then the rest, you see them building mansions, riding beautiful cars, wearing gold or silver, living the downtrodden. It's not good. They are not doing well.
So how do you think that these NGOs can be checkmated?
That is the thing. When I talk about, you know, creating a committee or having this, you see that the one that have already been created, what did they do? If I were the donors, I would like to send my team, delegate some of my team to go and see what this person is actually doing with whatever we donated to enhance the life of the downtrodden, of the vulnerable. But the moment the money is being given, they won't care, they won't bother to monitor it. They need to be monitored. I have one, I need to be monitored. You can't report to pay Peter. No one with good conscience does that. We lack fear of God. Honestly, that is our problem. We lack fear of God. But we bear this and that night, day. But we keep on cheating on those who are better off than. It doesn't give me joy. So a lot should be done by the donors. They should have monitoring on this, monitoring on that. And anyone who fails to do it right, that his or her NGO or whatever should be closed, should shut down. If they can do it that way, then the society will be sanitized.
All right. So, you know, sometimes when poverty alleviation programs are created, there's usually a target of the numbers of people who should be able to have gained from it at the end of it. Do you think that these poverty alleviation programs that government has embarked upon have solved the problem of poverty? If you were to advise on how some of these poverty alleviation programs that reach out to the vulnerable, how do you think it should be done so that it could actually get to the people that it's meant for? And then the third leg of this question is the fact that some people who are vulnerable are also, they don't think, some don't have interests in, say for instance, a government is doing a skill acquisition program. You see a few of them, getting involved or wanting to even take themselves away from the situation that they have found themselves. Do you also think that that is a problem?
Let me answer your first question before I go to that. Let me shock you a bit. About 3 years ago or 4, one of the politicians who was sick was visited by myself and some of my colleagues. And while we were there, alerts came in. He smiled. He called one of us and said, "Oh, look, I did my bed now. This alert is still the combo." We then asked him, "What alert?" He said it was initiated during good luck. How can a man like that be receiving such money? His name was included, that of his family were included. They were receiving 30,000 naira, made for the poor, made for the downtrodden, because they were in power. They decided to, include their names to the list submitted during Jonathan's, administration. I was shocked to my marrow. That was the day, even though I'm a politician, that was the day I detested some of the politicians in my state. Coming to the second question you asked, yes, some of them may not like to join because they are being used. They are being used. You can't tell me that you're helping me and so amount was given to you to give to me to solve my problem. Instead of you doing it in the right way, you decide to give me peanut. Then I will come and kill you under the sun. Have you seen them doing the empowerment? You will see those vulnerable people under the sun, under the rain. At the end of the day, nothing. Then the press will cover them. I spent so and so. I spent so and so. Oh my God, who is fooling who? Human beings lack conscience. Somehow we are wicked to our fellow human beings. Mostly the downtrodden, the low-income earners, the disabled. My dear brother, if we keep on talking about this, I may start shedding tears because I have seen it and I have seen it. It is not good. So we don't need to blame them because on several occasions, they were there, but at the end of the day, they were being shortchanged. So you don't expect them to continue. The worst thing that will happen to anybody in this world is to hate yourself, is to, reject yourself when others have rejected you. No, you dare not do that. You move on.
Interesting. So does it mean that this community-based program by the government really doesn't work? Do you know of any, empowerment program that has actually worked? And do you think it can be scaled nationally? Because if you look left, right, and center, if the governors are not doing something, the local governments are doing something, and then the federal government are also doing something, but then the vulnerable people keeps increasing,
complaining. Increasing.
Yeah, so, but
yeah, because they are not the architect of their problems, are they? So why wouldn't they increase? We give birth every day, just as people die every day. So we are not going to portion blame on them that they are always on the increase side. What we should talk about is, what is being given to them by the government. Is it actually getting to them? What is it being given to them by the donors? Is it actually getting to them? Has it enhanced their problem? Or, when 1,000 is being given to them, then you decide to give them 1 kobo. What will the 1 kobo do for them in a situation, we are into now? Can 1 kobo do anything for you, solve any problem for you? Let's call a spade by its name. Those government placed there to look after these people, they are the problem and not the government. And if I were the government, the moment that list is being submitted to me, I will, screen it. Even if it takes me the whole month to do the investigation, to know if that person deserves it, I will do it. You don't need to rush something because so many people normally queue in order to enrich themselves. You see them shining. We are the best weaver, best jewelry, best car, live in a very comfortable place. Yet that person they are supposed to represent, just dying out there, cannot even afford, a meal in a day. Government should do something. Donors should as well do something. If they are threatening, monitoring this, monitoring that, let there be people with conscience. I'm not saying, even in the house of the Lord, there are people that have no conscience, but there are people that fears God. If they can be able to get at those people to stand for those we are better off than, I believe there will be a lot of changes and the increase will reduce, I believe. They need to be occupied, they need to be equipped. But those people that we are giving those things to get to the vulnerable have failed to deliver. They have failed to deliver.
Again, it comes down to the vulnerable, right? I mean, like it or live it, the vulnerable has to also pick the pieces. If we have some of these programs that have refused to cascade towards them, they also have a responsibility to even try to engage the society or even to do whatever they can to, help themselves. Because even when the program comes, you would have to get these vulnerable people to tend to accept them. So I'm just thinking, is there a way you think that these are words now going to those who are vulnerable? Is there a way you think that sometimes also it's about mindset, setting the right mindset and doing things that can help your situation from where you are? Do you think that, they also have a responsibility, to themselves to a point? Because, I mean, if you look at all of the programs, I'm thinking through this from even way from 1995. The poverty alleviation programs that government upon government have done, by this time, for crying out loud, we wouldn't be here. But the numbers keeps increasing in terms of the vulnerability. But now, switching it a little bit, do you think that, there's a role that the vulnerable should also play in also helping themselves?
Yeah, a lot of roles. One, they should have a voice. As a journalist, maybe one of these days, invite one of them to interview them, or few. At least two, a male and female. Then you hear from them. I'm not talking about those, that, their brothers or sisters have just, placed in a mansion. That's not the vulnerable I'm talking about. I'm talking about the vulnerable, the downtrodden. Interview them, and you hear from them. Hear from the horse's mouth. They should have a voice. And once in a while, we journalists, we should hear from them. Because most of the time, they are being cheated. They are being hurt down. Don't talk. If you talk, this will happen, that will happen. No. So, by the time they have a voice, they will be able to explain things by themselves. The way they are being treated by the government, by the community, or private sectors. Hearing from them, I believe, will help things to get better. So we need to hear from them. We need to interview them. by giving them that sense of, belonging. Let us hear from them. Let the society hear from them. We can't be defending them. Let them defend themselves. They need a voice to say the way it is. Because most of the time you see them shedding tears. Most of the time they don't even have a place to, lay their head. Most of the time they can't even feed twice in a day. They can't even clothe themselves. And most of the time you see somebody that is able, using them to beg money. Then at the end of the day, they will go and count for that person. Peanuts will be given to him or her that did that exercise. So I think I suggest you invite them to your program, interview them, let's hear from them and know where to start healing, the healing.
All right. Thank you so much, Chika Uju, for your time on the program this morning, speaking to the plight of the downtrodden and empowering the vulnerable groups out of Nigeria. I was just going to ask you, but just on the last line, if you know of any specific program that has succeeded with pulling people out of a vulnerability into being better for it. If you have anyone that will know anyone, whether it's local government, state, or even at the federal. Do you know of anyone?
I don't know, because they're all mixtures. They're all mixtures. Calling journalists to come and cover them. It. Wow. Don't put words into my mouth.
Wow. Chika Uju, many thanks. I appreciate you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right.
Have a nice
day. We're back shortly after this break. Just stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking. Events occur and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. It's 9:17 a.m. in the morning of 16th of May 2025. The weekend is upon us and we're loving it because the fact that the rains are coming and coming really down strongly gives us this joy and happiness, but with a wink a little bit, because again, the meteorologists have stated that we should expect some, flooding this period. So by and large, beyond being excited about the weather being cool and the rains coming in, we should also look at for our surroundings, our environment. Very important. All right. So women, very important. There's a bill right now at the National Assembly, and it's about special seats for women because of how special they are. But how far has that bill gone, and how important is it? We have with us Blessing Michael, Chairperson, League of Women Voters of Nigeria, in Kebbi State Chapter, joining us via Zoom this morning. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, madam, for joining us.
Thank you.
So tell us, how important really is this bill? What does this bill seek to achieve?
I would say this bill seeks to achieve a lot, especially concerning the women. For a very long time, women have been sidelined, or I would say women have been underrepresented in the parliament. Even in governance, women have been underrepresented. So I would say this bill will achieve a lot. One, especially in the place of the economic. In the place of the economic, as in the economic aspect of it, most women don't want to come out to contest any position because of lack of funds. But with this bill will help in that regard, because it is going to be all the parties that are coming to contest. You must bring out a woman from your party to contest. So that exactly has helped in the place of the fund and the economic part of it.
But why do you think that women require special seats in order for them to be able to do these things that you mentioned?
You know, I would say, you know, women, we are just like in both the Christian and Islamic religion. Women are being described as the weaker vessel. You know, women, we don't have that courage that you come out the way men come and hustle to get that seed, no matter what it will cost. Men will stay down. Sometimes men will be at the meeting from 9 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the next morning. No woman can withstand that.